2 in the morning, Tel Aviv. You are asleep in a hotel room 3 blocks from Dizengoff Square. You will not hear it coming. A ballistic warhead on terminal descent doesn't whistle. It doesn't roar. It arrives at Mach 4, 1.5 kilometers per second, and it arrives in absolute silence because it outruns its own sound by a factor of 4. The only warning is the siren that went off 3 minutes ago. The siren you rolled over and ignored because you watched a press conference where a general pointed at a chart and said the Patriot missile system had a 97% intercept rate. That general lied to you. Not because he's a bad man, because the system lied to him first. January 18, 1991, Saddam Hussein fires 8 Al-Hussein ballistic missiles from mobile MAZ-543 launchers in the western Iraqi desert, 600 kilometers from where you sleep. By the time Israel's civil defense sirens activate, those missiles are already arcing through the exo-atmosphere at 150 kilometers of altitude. The math is simple and it is merciless. You have 3 minutes to live or decide. There is no third option. This is what the weapon actually is. The Al-Hussein is not a precision instrument. It is a Soviet Scud B that Iraqi engineers physically cut apart. They inserted additional fuel in oxidizer tank sections, reduced the warhead mass from 945 to 500 kilograms, and welded the airframe back together. Project 1728. The result was 650 kilometers of range. What it cost was structural coherence. That modified airframe was never meant to survive high-speed atmospheric reentry. At Mach 4, the aerodynamic heating and stress shatter the compromised weld points. The missile disintegrates mid-descent. What falls on Tel Aviv is not one object. It is a fast-moving cloud of metal. Warhead, motor section, fuel tanks, scattering across a 1,000-meter circular error probable. 1 full kilometer of kill radius. That is not a targeting system. That is a shotgun pointed at a city. Now here's what that cloud does when it arrives. The warhead, if it detonates cleanly, releases the energy of its explosive fill inside a dense residential grid. Tel Aviv in 1991 is compressed Bauhaus and brutalist concrete. Thousands of 3- and 4-story apartment blocks, narrow streets, load-bearing columns on interior walls. Blast wave in an open field dissipates as it expands. Blast wave in an urban canyon does not. It bounces. It stacks. Overpressure from that detonation shatters every window within 150 to 200 meters. Eardrums rupture within 50 to 70 meters. Reinforced concrete columns crack at the base inside 80 meters. The warhead that hit the Danny House block in Hatikva on that first night didn't stop at the building it struck. It transmitted shockwave energy through every shared wall on the block. Structural concrete is not a barrier for a shockwave. It is a conductor, and that assumes the warhead even detonates. If it doesn't, if it impacts as a dud, which happened more than 10% of the time, you have a 500-kilogram iron mass striking at terminal velocity, not an explosion, an impact. A 500-kilo chunk of Soviet steel punching through a reinforced concrete roof as if the building is paper. It goes through the ceiling, it goes through the floor below. It may go through 3 floors before it stops. Nobody in that impact corridor survives. Now let me tell you about the Patriot, because this is where the lie lives. President Bush stood in front of cameras on February 15, 1991 and declared it, Patriot is 41 for 42, 97%, a marvel of American engineering. The crowd cheered. I want you to understand exactly what was happening on those radar screens while that number was being celebrated. The Al-Hussein structural disintegration, that engineering flaw, became an accidental countermeasure. When the airframe fractures on reentry, the AN/MPQ-53 fire control radar stops seeing 1 inbound track. It starts seeing 3, 4, 5, the warhead, the motor section, the tumbling fuel tanks, each one a separate, fast-moving return. The Patriot's fire control computer has seconds, not minutes, seconds, to identify the threat object among those tracks and commit to an intercept solution. I have spent thousands of hours behind that type of radar. I know exactly what those screens look like. Multiple converging tracks, all high velocity, all ballistic. The computer runs its discrimination algorithm and it picks. And in engagement after engagement over Israel, it picked wrong. It killed the fuel tank, the empty motor casing. The warhead continued to the ground, unengaged, ballistic, free. MIT researchers and the U.S. General Accounting Office reviewed every available video record afterward. Their conclusion, below 10% actual kill rate. Israel's own defense minister Moshe Ahrens said it plainly. Patriot intercepted at most 1 Scud over Israeli territory. 1. During the campaign, 3 Patriot interceptors themselves dove into Tel Aviv residential neighborhoods after their solutions failed mid-flight. The interceptors became the debris. Now you are in a city where the threat is falling from both sides. The debris profile does not care which country manufactured it. Now the question every American in that city was asking in the dark: chemical. Military intelligence assessed with high confidence that Saddam Hussein intended to arm al-Hussein warheads with sarin and mustard gas. This was not speculation. He had used sarin against Iranian troops in the War of the Cities. He had used mustard gas on the Kurds at Halabja in 1988. Those weren't accusations, those were documented battlefield facts. The question over Tel Aviv in January 1991 was not whether he had the weapons, it was whether he loaded them. Every single launch carried that uncertainty. The Israeli government distributed gas masks to the entire civilian population before the war started. They established the Hayder Atom, the sealed room, one interior room, no external windows, plastic sheeting over glass, masking tape over every gap at door frames, window frames, electrical outlets. The physics: sarin vapor density is 4.86 times that of air. Mustard gas is heavier still. Both agents settle and migrate toward floor level. A sealed room with properly taped gaps dramatically slows infiltration. It buys minutes. That is all it buys. Minutes are enough. Here is the protocol. Execute it exactly. Siren activates. You have 3 to 5 minutes. Move now. Phase 1, interior room. No external walls. Lowest floor you can reach. In a Bauhaus concrete building, the internal stairwell is your structural core. Reinforced columns on all sides, no external exposure. If the stairwell is inaccessible, the lowest interior bathroom. Get horizontal, back against an interior concrete wall. If a pre-sealed room exists, enter and close the door. Seal it. Bottom of the door first, tape, wet towel, anything continuous. Then door sides, then top, then window frame gaps, then any gap larger than a few millimeters. Plastic sheeting over glass reduces fragmentation, dispersal, and slows air exchange. Gas mask on before you finish sealing, not after. Do not remove that mask until you receive a verified all clear from an official civil defense broadcast, not when the explosions stop. Silence is meaningless. Sarin has no odor at sublethal concentrations. By the time you smell mustard gas, faint sulfur, garlic, it is already absorbing through your skin. The mask is too late for dermal exposure. Keep it on anyway. One absolute rule on atropine: do not self-inject unless you are showing confirmed nerve agent symptoms. Pinpoint pupils, uncontrolled salivation, muscle fasciculations. During this campaign, 222 Israeli civilians injected themselves with atropine when there was no chemical agent present. 7 of them died. The antidote is toxic without the agent. Panic killed those 7 people, not Saddam. Phase 2, you have your all clear. Now understand what is outside that door. The street is not the street you walked in on. Every impact site within several blocks is radiating residual propellant vapor. The Al-Hussein burns inhibited red fuming nitric acid as oxidizer. IRFNA on skin causes immediate chemical burns. It is not a slow process. You will not feel it, then you will feel everything. Do not step through any pooled liquid on the ground. Do not touch any metal debris. Any fragment, any piece of casing, any torn fuel tank section. Power infrastructure in the impact corridor is compromised. Assume all downed lines are live until proven otherwise. Move on the far side of the street from impact sites. The U.S. Embassy is at 71 Hayarkhan Street on the Mediterranean waterfront. From the Dizengoff area, due west under 2 kilometers. Do not navigate by memory. Navigate by the sea. You can hear it. You can smell it. When you smell salt water over concrete dust, you are moving correctly. Stay on foot. No vehicles through freshly impacted streets. Debris fields puncture tires, stall engines, trap you in the open. Move to building cover every time you cross an intersection. Pause. Look up. Secondary collapses happen for hours after primary strikes. Then move. Embassy gate. Passport. Here is the final accounting from January 1991. 42 Al-Hussein missiles struck Israel or nearby areas. 26 hit the Tel Aviv metropolitan area. 2 people died from direct missile impacts. 7 people died from their own defense kits. The precision terror weapon failed. The panic mechanism worked exactly as designed. Those 7 people were not killed by a missile. They were killed by the decision to inject before thinking. Panic is not a reaction. Panic is a choice. You are making that choice right now, before the siren. by deciding whether you are going to understand the physics or run from it. Precision beats panic every time. This is the Interceptor. Stay sealed, stay low, keep moving.